Welcome to Corpse Club, the official podcast of DailyDead.com. I'm one of your co-hosts, Jonathan James, and I'm joined today by Bryan Christopher, Derek Anderson, and Scott Drebit. Today we're going to be catching up on Yellowjackets. We're going to be catching up on Dead by Daylight. We might have an update from last episode. I happened to check out Wolf Like Me, and we'll be catching up on much more. But it's already February. It's pretty amazing that January already went by as quickly as it did. It's last year flew by, and we're still getting, even in January, we're getting tons of great genre releases. And February is the same. We have a new Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie coming out. We have tons of great TV shows and video game releases. It's almost like too much to keep up with. And I think what you've noticed from, our episodes certainly last year and this year as well is, you get to hear a little bit from everybody. So, like last week, Bryan was like, hey, Wolf Like Me is really good. And I was like, okay, I got to check it out. And so, we're going to have some good recommendations and hopefully some good recommendations. And we're going to go around the room and catch up with each other a little bit. That's one of the great things for me about us having Corpse Club here is catching up with my co-hosts, seeing how they're doing. And yeah, so I'm gonna turn it over to Bryan, who you're our TV tastemaker. I didn't even come up with that ahead of time. And
nice
I know
alliteration.
I know, right? Well, Daily Dead, it's a Corpse Club, it's kind of a thing. But, I have heard good things about Archive 81. I know you started watching it. I really have no idea what to expect from it. I don't know if I should, stop what I'm doing and watch it immediately. So why don't you tell me what you thought?
Yeah, so apparently, I've people who listen regularly know that I usually, for whatever reason, don't gravitate to horror television, usually because I'm wary of committing to an entire season of something that might not get wrapped up. But more and more, they seem to be leaning towards, and I just mean television creators in general are leaning more towards like limited series, miniseries, things like that. I don't know if Archive 81 is that. I'm hoping it comes to a full conclusion because I've watched the first 2 episodes. It's on Netflix. It's an 8-episode season, and it's a lot of weird shit going on in a good way. So it's by creator Rebecca Sonnenschein, who is she's done writing and producing for The Boys as well as The Vampire Diaries. And it's interesting because like those 2 things aren't too much alike, and from what I gather, this is nothing like those either. So she has kind of a broad range of kind of horror sensibilities, and this one is about it's one of those things where I don't want to give a whole lot away, but it's based off of a podcast of the same name about a researcher and a guy who restores like old VHS tapes and cassettes. And he is tasked with this job of, they basically say, we want you to go into the Catskills, isolate yourself at this research facility we have, and restore these old videotapes from a mysterious apartment fire that happened like 20 something years ago. And the guy is really good at his job. They kind of they really establish that he knows what he's doing when it comes to restoring these things. It's kind of like an obsession for him, and he's also clearly haunted by pieces of his own past. And you start to see those elements start to manifest themselves in the tapes that he is starting to restore. It's also really interesting because it's kind of a dual narrative where you are getting the story of the initial protagonist. His name is Dan Turner. He's played by Mamadou Ache, who you might not recognize the name, but if you've seen Underwater, he is the unfortunate gentleman who winds up getting imploded in his underwater, like, his apparatus.
Yeah, that was no fun.
No, not at all.
Ooh.
I will say he doesn't seem to be having a lot more fun here, but it looks like it's at least going to be more drawn out as he, investigates these tapes. You then start to kind of through his eyes follow the story of kind of the second narrative thread, which is a girl named Melody who is doing a grad student dissertation on this apartment building. It's called like the Visser or something along those lines. And, through her, her back footage or through the footage that he's restoring, you're getting this whole other story. And it seems like these parallel threads, but then in interesting ways, they start to come together. So, like I said, I'm only 2 episodes in, so I don't know exactly where it's going. Even if I did, I probably wouldn't want to give a whole lot away just because, I think part of what makes the show interesting is kind of seeing where this train is going. They do a really good job at setting a very ominous tone. The music is a little bit like eclectic in terms of they utilize like organ music at certain times, and they'll incorporate various, I don't know, like sometimes you don't know if it's the soundtrack or if it's like sound design of things that are happening in the show itself. So they're doing a really good job at kind of setting and building that sense of dread. It's kind of like, if anybody who hasn't seen the first 2 episodes, I would say my guess is still as good as yours as to where this whole thing is going. I'll be interested to see, where they really kind of reveal what's going on, or if it's kind of one of those things where you're still going to have a bunch of questions by the last episode. But it's definitely something I'm looking forward to sticking with and seeing how it all develops.
So what you're saying is, even with someone like commitment issues like yourself,
mm-hmm.
It's worth sticking out for. So you're saying if someone has commitment issues, it's the kind of show, it's going to be okay.
I would say so. Yes.
Yeah.
I think the one risk they do run is when you have those kind of dual narratives. For me, that always runs the risk of you're going to be more invested in one than the other.
Sure.
I have found that to be the case, but as things have gone, at least initially, but as things have gone on, that might be shifting for reasons that I don't want to exactly divulge because I don't want to give anything away.
I haven't read anything about it other than it's very interesting and it's very dense. There's a lot of influences that are, shown in it throughout the show, like a dash of Argento here or a Cronenberg there or something. Like it has a lot. Apparently it has a very eclectic horror kind of melange, if you will.
Heavy splash of The Shining and Stephen King.
Ooh.
And because he's very isolated at this facility in the Catskills. They even do kind of the that classic overhead shot of the car going through the woods to get to the location that was clearly a homage to The Shining.
Nice.
And plus now with drones, it's like every movie has to have the driving shot now.
Well, they're so much cheaper these days. So
I know, right? That sounds awesome.
But yeah, no, I'm excited for it. It's, again, it's one of these things that it kind of went under the radar. I mean, it's on Netflix, so it's like, well, it's on Netflix, so clearly like
it's definitely under the radar.
Yeah, but it's definitely under the radar, and it's something that
they're not going to advertise it.
No, it's when you're releasing so much, it's tough. It's like, especially with horror, so it's always looked down upon. I mean, we see with Texas Chainsaw, right? It gets a quick trailer release, it gets a poster, and then it'll be out there. So yeah. So I mean, in some cases you got to suggest them or you got to dig, right? I mean, even Fear Street, if you want to look for that, or Hush. I mean, they have great things. We talked about one of the big challenges is how do you search for all this stuff in Netflix? It's kind of easy to go to it's a different experience. I know you compared it, Scott, previously to like the VHS store and kind of going through it. But when the VHS store has, 100,000 titles, it definitely makes it a little more challenging. So unfortunately for titles like this, but
honestly, I would have missed it if not for Twitter. A few different people.
Oh yeah,
and some buzz about it. So.
Same here. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why it's great to to check out social media or to just listen to Bryan. Bryan, you can just tell me. I don't even have to go on to Twitter. But I did want to, as I already kind of teased about it a little bit, I did want to go back to Wolf Like Me, because thank you very much, Bryan, for suggesting it. I had,
Good, right?
It was really, really good. And so it's one of those things where there was like a quick trailer for it that I don't think revealed anything. I knew there was a spoiler trailer, which, I don't watch a lot of trailers. And then this again just kind of went by like really quickly, and it's on Peacock. And of course, you can get a lot more details in our previous episode, but written and directed by Abe Forsyth, Isla Fisher, Josh Gad, and Ariel Donahue. And it certainly isn't, even though I guess I'd say it's like R-rated or MA TV, it's certainly not like, I wouldn't necessarily classify it as like a super like horror show or mini series, but and it doesn't always have to be, right? And so in this case, they just tell, I think, a really great family story, and it's in the kind of the middle of this supernatural story. And it was great. It goes by quickly. It's under 30 minutes an episode, 6 episodes. We just binged it all at once. And so my wife Christy and we loved it. I told my parents, I'm like, you got to watch it. And they're like, we saw 2 episodes. We love it. We're going to finish it. So I would highly recommend it.
Awesome. Glad you enjoyed it. Scott, how, I'm guessing there's not a Peacock streaming service because it's an NBC platform. Do you know where like NBC content, is there like a one place where that lands in Canada, or is it kind of like scattered to the wind?
No. We have a streaming platform called Crave that carries a lot of stuff, and it's hard for me to determine sometimes exactly where it comes from because people get stuff from different networks. So I'll definitely be on the lookout for that. Yeah, no, we don't have. Well, I don't know. I can't get Peacock Plus. We can't get it. We're not allowed to. It's we've been bad or naughty or something. I don't know why we're not allowed Peacock, but no, that's one I want to check out for sure. And again, it's one of those ones that I wasn't even aware of until, people in the horror community here and there, it started popping up. So it's always great to get recommendations like that.
Yeah, but definitely a good one. So so thank you, Bryan. And then Scott, I know you've been watching Yellowjackets. You've been dying to see this. So you got to tell me, so how is it so far?
It is amazing. Amazing. The end. Has anyone else watched it yet?
I have
not yet.
Anyone? No? Okay. Yeah. And again, not a show that I seek or suck out. That's right, Scott.
It's suck. Yeah, it's suck.
It is suck. Not one that I suck out. And but yet came across because it was getting, you couldn't ignore it on your social media feeds. So we checked it out, and it is a series about, in 1996, a group of high school soccer players, girls. Their team gets sent to nationals, and on the plane ride, their plane crashes in the Canadian Rockies. At this point, we get dual timelines of 25 years later and the 1996 timeline of the plane crash and events surrounding the plane crash that adds to character, etc. Bad things happen on this island. We know this from the start. We're given indications right from pretty much the beginning that some cannibalism has taken place. So what really becomes interesting is in the modern day, for instance, you don't see everyone. So far, we're only six episodes in. You don't see everyone in the modern day who was survived the plane crash. So they were lost in the Canadian Rockies for 19 months. So there's kind of a couple dual mysteries going on. Who made it off and survived, or did something horrible and cannibalistic happen to them? So there's that stream going. And then in the modern day, people who did survive start getting killed. So you're dealing with someone gets killed and is blackmailing the other survivors, and we have no idea who. Oh. So, and it's populated with amazing actors like Melanie Linsky.
Juliette Lewis is in there.
Thank you, Juliette Lewis, Liv Hewson, Christina Ricci, just an amazing cast.
I hear she steals the show, Ricci.
You know what? She has the most, I don't know if she steals the show. She has the most, let's say, colorful character.
The meatiest character. Okay.
The weirdest character. She's Misty. She's really, really strange. I think they're all equally great. And I think it's kind of a tribute to the writing that, for me anyway, not one of them stands out. Melanie Linsky is like next level amazing as kind of the lead, as it is the lead girl of the group. And it's so well done how they're just pulling back layers slowly of the mystery of what happened on the island. It's done very cleverly too. And, you hate to bring up the T word, the trauma word, but it is one that obviously deals with, the events, how they still echo and reverberate, through the decades later. So it has something to say about that as well, but it's just, and there's a supernatural element. We're fairly certain to it as well. That stems from their time in the forest. So yeah, I think we have 3 or 4 episodes left to go. It's fantastic. If you're able to see it, definitely check it out if you haven't already.
Nice, man. Alternate timelines sounds like Lost.
You know what? As I was watching it, I was thinking how I was going to describe it tonight, and Lost was one of the ones that kind of popped in my head. But then I thought, well, yeah, but this isn't throwing like a bunch of inexplicable things at you. It feel like just for the sake of it. Do you know what I mean? Everything seems very, very plotted out. So,
okay.
And so far they haven't missed a stride. So, and I think they'll nail it.
Yes, definitely is one I really want to see. I think it's Showtime in the States.
Yes.
I don't have Showtime.
Yeah.
And they don't bundle
too many streaming platforms.
Yeah. And I don't know, and I should know, but I don't know who owns Showtime. And
I
believe you can bundle Showtime with Paramount Plus channel. If I remember correctly. So, because I did have a bundle with that for like a month. My only thing though is like, what else am I going to watch as Showtime besides there's Dexter? I know there's that, but like, I do want to see it. So I'm probably just going to VOD the episodes. Like, I'm all for paying for it. Obviously they worked hard on it, but, so I may just buy the season on Amazon just as a one-off.
Yeah, totally worth it. I mean, it's really, really good. And it's one of those ones where every episode you go, like, like people do like that.
Like that.
Explain.
Like,
I don't understand.
Shocked.
Just a full-on gasp.
Chagrined.
Wow, that's weird. That's
Startled.
the sound. That's the sound you make when you're shocked. I make a completely different sound.
What do you?
I go.
That's an interesting nervous system you got there.
Yeah. my wife oft thinks there's something like neurologically wrong with me when I do that. But hey, we all have different fight or flight reflexes.
I guess so. Why? That's what I do. You see a monster, I go,
Flying.
oh, monster, go. I'm gonna. No, you stay. I'll go. Okay.
Derek, what did we stumble onto here?
Some top-notch improv is what we stumbled on.
Best ending, you bastards.
I don't get it.
I love when I do. I love when I do my John Wayne impression. It just kills him every time.
Every time. So Derek, I know we're going to stay on TV, and I know that we've had. I don't even remember. I want to say Area 51. It's Archive 81. That's what it is.
Right. Oh, yeah. There you go.
We got Archive 81. Then we worked our way up. Exactly. Then we worked our way up to Wolf Like Me. Okay. Excellent, excellent television. Yellowjackets. Again, pinnacle of TV we're talking about here.
Saving the best for last.
Saving the best for last, Derek. Tell us what you've been watching.
All right. So if you listen to this show, you know that I rep the CW. I'm a CW. I've been not with CW so long since they were WB, and I'm going to keep on my brand here. And I'm going to talk about Nancy Drew season 3. That's right. Because this show is so damn good. And I'm not kidding, man. This show has gotten so much better over the seasons, and I liked it to begin with, but it's really come into its own in season 3, where this feels really a lot like almost like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer. If you like the characters of that show, I think there's a lot of kind of similarities with the supernatural elements. But I'm just telling you, this show it's not the Nancy Drew you maybe thought you knew from.
Hey, all right,
from the
Jesus
hardcover
Christ,
books.
Why are you so aggressive? Like, holy shit!
Hey, the funny
just
thing
preparing
is,
myself.
It does all sound like a joke, but no, I really. So you, and I'm not asking you because I don't believe you, but just so that our listeners know, and so that I can put it on my list. So you would recommend this? Like, this is something you'd put on the same level as like Sabrina, for example, or I know you're watching Riverdale. How does it compare to Riverdale?
Oh, it's I would say it's stronger than Riverdale if you compare the latest season of Riverdale to the 3rd season of Nancy Drew. Just the writing has gotten a lot. I think they've kind of figured out what to do with the characters. They've really opened it up more to more of a magical kind of like Charmed, where they're incorporating a lot more magic, and so, like Charmed, Sabrina. Like, it's very supernatural, but it's still grounded in a very like real town where they tackle like social justice issues. Like no other show that I've watched recently has really embraced a lot of stuff that's going on now and incorporated it into the show, because they didn't have to do that. But the writers, I think, felt it was important that even, when you're telling a story about a demon that freezes hearts and pulls it out of its victims, it's equally important to talk about like how there's privilege and there can be racism in the town as well. So I feel like they really have done a great job walking that line. But it is something where I'd say if you do have if you're looking for something after Sabrina ended, and I know there has been a recent Sabrina crossover on Riverdale, this is a show for you, because they've really, there's a 200-year-old witch. There's a frozen hearts killer this season. We have creepy spells being cast. We have all sorts of shenanigans going on, and love triangles galore. So, I mean, if this is your show to just step right up and just dive into the stakes are high, but the fun is high too.
So is the podcaster talking about it.
That episode where the 200-year-old witch had her driver's license taken away because she was too old was magical.
So
Not
Derek,
to make a pun, but it was magical.
Are the mysteries, because obviously everyone who knows Nancy Drew, like, it's based off of she solves mysteries. Are they season-long serial mysteries, or is it like a mystery of the week?
They they've gotten to the point where they've gotten really good at doing kind of a mystery of the week, but there's an underlying mystery like this. There's this ongoing thing where they're solving essentially a mystery every episode, but then there's this killer that freezes hearts throughout this season. So they're trying to figure out kind of what's that all about throughout the season. So there's a good tie-in to that throughout the season. And then there's stuff that carried over from season 2. And there's like a My Two Dads situation going on with Nancy's parental figures. So there's just all sorts of stuff to enjoy.
Hey, the guy who stops the hearts. What's that all about?
But yes, I would say it's not too late, guys. You can jump on this train. Let's go to Horseshoe Bay.
Well, I think the interesting thing is like, it was something like this in general, like the CW can get a bad rap when it comes to like, any of their shows, I should say. But I think in a lot of cases it is unjustified because you see things like, people are crapping on like Supernatural when you see like the advertising that they had for it at the start, and even, the advertising throughout the seasons. But like, I would say that Supernatural, like those first 5 seasons are like required viewing. So Supernatural's fantastic. So I have no doubt, like if you're saying, hey, this stuff's really good, it actually is something I'm interested in checking out.
I've got to keep an eye on the CW so I can keep you guys informed. I'm like the CW correspondent. So fingers crossed for season 4. It hasn't been renewed yet, but as soon as it is, I will let everyone know. Well,
there is some weirdness with the CW right now. I don't know. I don't recall all the details, but there is something where it's a collaboration with, I think it's Paramount and Warner Brothers. I believe there was talk about selling some of the interest there. And so I do know the fate of the station and the related properties are somewhat in flux. And also it depends on who's producing a given show. So maybe some shows might move. I'm just, like I said, speculation on my part, but that is definitely why you may not be seeing, in some cases, for people's favorite CW shows. I know they have all the DC superhero shows. I know that they're also a little bit in flux. Okay, so Bryan, I wanted to move it back to you. We've talked about our TV picks, but I did want to switch over. It's been a little bit since we've talked about RPGs, and you have a homebrew Hellraiser RPG that you've been testing out, and I had a lot of fun with it. I think it's super exciting, so I want you to talk about it.
I can do that. So for those unfamiliar, we're going to go down yet another RPG nerd rabbit hole, but a homebrew is something where you take elements from whatever platform. In my case, I was doing Pathfinder, but you can take the game mechanics of Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, Call of Cthulhu, things like that, and write your own story. In a lot of cases, people will play games that are kind of official scenarios or adventure paths that different companies will put out, through their platform. But you can take those mechanics and write your own story. And that's what a homebrew is. And so I did one because I was at a bookstore and I happened to find that Pathfinder had a book devoted to creating horror adventures. So they put together different like beasts and monsters and different ways you can play and add horror elements to the Pathfinder platform. And so, of course, my first thought was, how can I turn this into Hellraiser? And then I actually found out through reading the book that the people who created it also must have been Hellraiser fans, because there were definitely elements that were in line with elements from Hellraiser. So obviously they changed it enough to be, Pathfinder and to not get sued by Clive Barker. But it's, like there's a magical item called the Perilous Puzzle Box that, you can put stuff in, but if you don't, open it in a certain amount of time, it will hurt you. Or you can, set a trap for it. And there's a monster in there called, I believe it's a Crichton Apostle, which is, basically in subtitles it says, this is definitely not a Cenobite. So it was very easy to take elements out of it and create a story out of it. And so I did, this is the first one I've ever written before. And I tried it out. I think it went pretty well. Jonathan, obviously, you were part of the group that played. It was pretty cool because I got an opportunity to play with kind of a different mix of people. So, for example, Jonathan is obviously a big Hellraiser fan, but he'd never played Pathfinder before. One of the people that I had in the group was a big Pathfinder fan, had never seen Hellraiser, and then people who had both played Hellraiser had both played Pathfinder and seen Hellraiser. So it was a good group to kind of get a sense for, to what degree am I making the game mechanics too complicated for people who might not be that familiar with it? To what degree am I leaning too heavily into assuming people know what Hellraiser is and kind of the story beats in order to push the story along? So I'm taking that opportunity to kind of tweak it and fine tune it a little bit, and start kind of running more groups with it, to get some Hellraiser fans into RPGs and vice versa, to maybe get some RPG fans into Hellraiser.
Yeah, it was really, really, it was a great experience. I've done more kind of like pen and paper RPGs virtually, and thanks to you, Bryan, than I have, in person, probably over the last couple decades, because I did occasionally when I was in, grade school and high school. But since then I kind of dropped off and played, virtual RPGs or played Magic the Gathering. But no, it's been great to connect, and you're great as a DM. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I know that, in some cases people will play their pen and paper campaigns. It'll go for weeks or months or years. And in this case, I think that, having something you can complete in a day or a couple days, a couple sessions, I should say, is a lot of fun, because it's good. If you're experienced, you can still have a lot of fun with it. If you're not experienced, it's a good way to get into it. So yeah, I'm loving doing this with you and seeing the different games you come up with.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoy it. Honestly, DMing or GMing, for those unfamiliar, either Dungeon Master or Game Master, depending on what platform you're using, pretty interchangeable. Actually, if you play the Alien RPG, you're the game mother. That was it turned into my sourdough bread baking of the pandemic. Like, it was the thing that, I've played RPGs probably for about, I don't know, 7 or 8 years at this point. But it was only as we started getting into the pandemic that I kind of took that opportunity to start learning how to oversee games. And it's definitely a very different experience than playing. Playing is, you just kind of show up, you enjoy and see what the DM throws at you. When you are actually, creating and managing these games, there's a lot more prep that goes into it. There is a lot more kind of things that you're juggling, and you kind of need to be on your toes to improv, because one of the cool things about RPGs is that it'll go down paths, like the players will take it down paths that you weren't expecting. And so if you're able to be on your toes and kind of lead where the players take you, then that usually winds up being kind of the most fun interactions, especially when you get people who get into the role playing, and just, take it into some really creative and sometimes very silly places, which is just, it's a lot of fun. So it's a different experience than playing, but it's also, in a lot of ways, even more rewarding than playing.
Yeah, and I know that I know you have a homebrew. Spoilers, in case you don't want to. You got a homebrew Alien campaign coming up, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I'm definitely. I've got the basic outline, and I'm just trying to put in like the flavor and all the fun mechanics and stuff like that. But I've got a basic story outline and some characters put together for one.
Yeah, and right now we're in the middle of an Alien campaign that Bryan's been running as instead of the DM, it's just the game mother, right? And
clever.
Yeah, and well, my captain's dead. I'm now, what do you call it, the highest rank. No. So yeah, we're in the middle of this. There's this war zone right now, and there's aliens.
Area hippie.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, no one can see it, but I haven't taken a picture lately. But yeah, it's past my shoulders.
In space, no one can cut your hair.
Jonathan does not have a Marine haircut. He has the anti-Marine haircut.
That's right.
But honestly, I mean, I'm trying to think of I'm trying to think of any Marines that had long hair or any characters that did. I guess I'd be more like the characters from like Alien Resurrection, the movie. I don't really like.
Oh, there you go.
But I'm ready. I'm gonna cosplay a character from Alien Resurrection.
Your favorite installment.
I know. Derek, or Brian, I saw you too. Like you were talking about how I did see you on Twitter talking about how much you like it, and I wanted to reply from the Daily Dead account. I was like, no, it's not good.
I was daring you. I was like, I hope he tries to say something.
It was the only time I was tempted to, but yeah, I got an Alien TV show coming up soon. I hope.
Also, spoiler alert:
yes.
The entire homebrew I'm putting together is basically just rerunning through Alien Resurrection in total. So,
and I'm okay with it. Like I said, I mean, I have a soft spot. It's kind of like the Hellraiser movies. Actually, it's not. I like the Alien movies, all of them, better than most of those DTV Hellraiser sequels, and I still bought and watch all of those. So, Alien Resurrection, it's not that bad. It's very, and I just say this a lot, it's just very different from what I was looking for. It's actually more like one of the comic books come to life, but just that end just does not work for me.
Do you want Ripley to throw the basketball or not throw the basketball?
I mean, since she really threw it, I like it. If it was like a CG basketball, I'd be like, no, get it out of there. But because she really got the shot, like I'm totally good with it.
Oh,
it's just great. It's crazy balls that she got that.
Yeah. Yeah. Back to the Alien podcast. I like this, guys. It's been a while. It's been a while since we had the Alien podcast.
It has been.
It has. But I need to take some time because you talked about Hellraiser. I'm trying to segue this because there's a Hellraiser DLC and Dead by Daylight. And so we have the Dead by Daylight update. Those who listened last episode know that Brian picked up Dead by Daylight and he challenged myself and Derek to I think the goal was just to even take the disc out of the package, just install it, just get that far.
And Derek made a solemn pledge to seriously consider maybe opening the disc.
He couldn't even commit. Yeah, you couldn't even commit to putting the disc in the PlayStation last time. We did not get a firm commitment. But Scott, we're trying.
How many steps that is across the room?
Oh, it's a lot. But yeah, Scott, we're trying to get everybody to play. You have a PS4, right?
I do.
So you can play Dead by Daylight. We're trying to finally get us. We talked about this last year for, I think, Friday the 13th and Dead by Daylight. Didn't happen. This year, Brian is really pushing, and I think it's going to happen. I think some of us are going to play Dead by Daylight together. I think it might happen.
Well,
make it sound like some of us aren't going to make it.
The magic phrase is cross-platform because this is like there's not a lot of games that do that.
I still have Friday the 13th.
But you got to get Dead by Daylight now. This is what we've switched to. And, well, Derek, we don't know if and I have Friday the 13th as well, but I think Dead by Daylight's what's been chosen. That's the.
I like that. Scott, that is like last year's trash. Okay. This year it's Dead by Daylight.
Brian's been pushing that. I'm trying to support Brian here. So the big thing is I'm just going to get out of the way. And I over WhatsApp, I sent him pictures. I said a story in 4 parts or whatever it is. I had the Dead by Daylight game in its packaging. I showed him the plastic wrapper. I held the disc and I showed it installing. So it's that part I've taken care of. I haven't gotten much further than that, Brian, admittedly. But
now you didn't show any of that next to that day's newspaper, so I'm still not 100% convinced.
I promise you, I can, after this, I could walk you like with my camera on. I could show it. We're good. I even got the update. There was an update today and I got it. So I'm even patched. So Derek, this is a moment of truth. We don't know how far you got. I know our listeners are like, wow, this is super exciting. Derek, did you take the game out of the package?
I did. I took it out of the package.
Wow.
Yep, I really did.
And then he proceeded to put directly back down.
Did you insert the disc into the PlayStation and install it?
Whoa, slow down, Jonathan.
I mean,
jeez.
I actually did.
Oh.
And I was gonna send photos, but my WhatsApp is not working right now, so I actually have photographic proof of all of this, and
so
I did it.
But here's
hours before recording.
The $10,000 question. Have you surpassed Jonathan? Have you actually tried playing it at all?
That I have not done.
Oh,
Losers.
see,
Losers to both of you.
and I can't be
said-
shamed. I thought Derek was gonna one up me here.
I could be playing it, but then I wouldn't be on the podcast right now. So because it was that last minute for me. And I saw
you
the
did it
menu
right
pop
before
up.
you recorded, didn't you?
Yeah. Well, it forced me to do it.
It
And
counts.
I
Counts.
I sent Corpse Club listener Charlie, who's a longtime Dead by Daylight fan. I even let him know that I did that, and he was very proud of me. And he's only been asking for years. So, and not only that, I guess even though I haven't played, I did surpass you in this department. I also downloaded the free mobile app, which I also haven't played yet.
Oh, wait,
but
okay. I can tie you right here. I'm going to install my phone's right here. I'm installing the mobile app. I'm going. Okay, hold on.
Great content for podcasts.
Where are you? App Store? Yeah, Dead by Daylight.
So, we're not quite at the point where we can talk about playing it other than Brian, but
Okay.
What's it's going to turn out? Scott's been playing for like 6 months.
No, I'm trying to find people to play Friday the 13th.
I'm sorry. Mainly the only reason that I keep harping on Dead by Daylight is because I only have a Switch. So I'm the odd man out. So I have to have
We can cross-play.
Cross-platform. Yeah.
I keep meaning to cancel my Microsoft Live, and I always forget, and then it shows up on my bill. I'm like, "Boop, thanks for your purchase."
Wait, so you have you have a PlayStation though, right?
Yeah, or whatever. PlayStation Live, Gold Box.
Okay,
box,
yeah, I
box a bucket,
I
whatever
know.
the fuck it's called.
Well, yeah, that's why I asked, because the Xbox or Microsoft would be for Xbox. So I was like, do you have an Xbox as well? I'm just clarifying.
Okay.
So I mean, that's the farthest I've gotten in years. So, I mean, and I didn't even have to delete
So what's
Star Wars
PlayStation's
Battlefront
called
2.
then?
Isn't it like PlayStation Network? PSN?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go. I see. I get frightened
Mm-hmm.
by things that blink and boop.
What's it? Seems strange and scary to me.
All of it. Anyway, the Friday the 13th game is pretty cool. I have gone around the forest a couple times and hid from Jason, or was I Jason? I can't remember.
I will say, Scott, that you already then have an advantage on Jonathan and Derek in Dead by Daylight, because you have at least know the basics of the, was it asymmetric game is what they call it, where it's like 4 people are doing one thing and 1 person is doing another.
Oh, no, that's where you're wrong, my friend. No. I have no idea whatsoever. I like bang against a tree for 10 minutes and then the game goes, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, I feel pretty good about
play
this. I feel pretty good about my chances, Brian.
He gets to be Pinhead first. But yes, I'm very excited to play. It's about time, and it wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. So just getting it set up was super easy. And like you said, Jonathan, there was an update today, so I felt like I was really on top of everything when not only did I download it, but I updated it. And then I saw the menu where it said press X to continue, and I got frightened and I turned it off immediately.
That's funny. But hey, you did it.
To play.
You did it. We are making baby steps. So
Yes.
in like 10 more episodes,
Right.
we're going to let our listeners know how the first game went.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
No, we're ready. I think we're a little training. Maybe I don't need training. I'm just going to go into it. You know what I need? What I need is
Leroy Jenkins at
What I need is a PlayStation account, right? It's not free play. I think I do need the PSN account. That's the one thing I don't have. That's the one piece, because I don't play I play multiplayer games on Xbox, so I haven't played anything over PlayStation.
Right. I have an account, but I just get billed for it, and I don't really do anything.
So then he's
just giving Sony free money.
Yeah, then you
Yes.
need to get Dead by Daylight, and you'll be further than me.
Well,
Okay. Well,
All right.
we'll get back to Corpse Club listeners on this exciting development.
We all have some homework to do.
They wait with bated breath, I'm sure.
Twists and turns.
Somebody's very excited for us. Somebody has to be.
Someone's
Why do I
excited
feel
for
like
me, the old man, to play Dead by Daylight.
I'm really excited for us to play with you.
Why do I feel like this is going to end with me on a meat hook?
I almost want to set up a Twitch account and just stream what this is going to look like the first time we play it. It's going to look like an episode of Keystone Cops with just like these survivors running into each other and like falling out of windows and running into trees. Scott just running in a circle counterclockwise for 45 minutes straight.
Yeah.
Going. Woo, 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 woo.
Yep, and that's fine. But yeah, we're close. We are close. How many people do you need actually to have a separate game?
If you want to play a game where no one else will get involved, you need to have 4 people. Or no, 5. 1 killer and 4 survivors.
Okay, we need somebody else.
Well, if Scott plays and we have that Charlie fella, then we technically have our 5.
You got to see if we can get Charlie, and we got to see if Tamika's got and Heather. I know Heather's got a PlayStation.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. No, I know Heather
we
for
have
sure has
options.
one. I don't know about Tamika. We'll find out. Okay. So this exciting development. I know everyone was waiting on bated breath. That's what it is.
Wait as Jonathan prints off the roster for the upcoming first tournament.
You know what? And I'm just gonna I'm going off. Not that there is a script, but I'm going off script even further. And you may hear this in the recording. You might hear like a little like spring. As I was talking, I kind of like adjusted myself and I almost fell off my chair and forward on the microphone on the laptop and crashed this like Jenga style setup I have. I literally almost just took a spill.
Oh no.
Yeah, the Corpse Club was really going on like a good streak of episodes until the head host impaled himself on his microphone.
Well, I have one of those like tiny desks. It will not hold my weight. I have the laptop on a stack of Blu-rays. It's not going to hold. I'm going to fall over this entire thing. I almost fell.
He's been saying this for years.
And so there
Just like turns into a chain reaction and his entire house collapses on him.
Yeah, no, I literally almost broke my laptop, my mic, my desk. And so anyway, so there was like a little hiccup where it's like, anyway, so let's move on to something that our listeners want to hear about. I know what they want to hear about, and that is Kolchak. Yeah. And I know they want to hear about it for sure, because it is, we got to a little bit ago, the 50th anniversary of the Night Stalker.
Wow.
And can't believe it's been 50 years, first of all. And, I have, and I know you love Kolchak, Scott, and it's been a long time. Yeah, and it's been a long time since I've seen any of it. I used to watch it, whether it was like reruns on WGN or whatever the case is. I watched it when I was younger. And so it's always those things where, I have flashes of the show and whatnot. But Kino's got the movies on Blu-ray, Night Stalker, Night Strangler, and they have the TV show. So I was like, oh, well, I need to catch up. And also there is a pretty cool Kickstarter where they're putting together a graphic novel from all kinds of horror writers and illustrators. And so they're putting together a graphic novel to kind of continue with new Kolchak stories. But as I mentioned, it's the 50th anniversary as of, I think it was January 11th, 1972. The Night Stalker aired on ABC. And I checked out the Blu-ray from Kino, and what a great movie. I mean, again, I know some people who have seen it, a long time, are like, of course it's a great movie, but I promise you that not many people these days, especially not a lot of younger horror fans, may have watched this, but it's been a huge inspiration for, tons of creatives, including and very famously, Chris Carter for the X-Files. And so, like I said, with the 50th anniversary of the Night Stalker, I wanted to, I said, recommend and talk a little bit about this. It stars Derek McGavin, and he's this, he's this reporter that's kind of down on his luck. He's working in Las Vegas, and there's a murder and somebody's drained of their blood, and there's another murder and somebody's drained of their blood. And he's like, well, there's something to this. And as the police and the politicians try to cover it up, he thinks there might really be a vampire. And, this is one of the most popular TV movies of all time, which is pretty cool. And then kicked off the TV series, and then kicked off another movie. And so, yeah, it's been a real joy just diving back into it because it's been so long. Scott, when was the last time you saw these?
Oh boy. I think last year I have not the Blu-ray set from Kino, but I have the DVD Universal set of the TV series. So I watched that last year. I ran through the whole series except for the last 4. I think I still have left to go. And, it's delightful. I mean, I was literally a baby pretty much when this show was on the air. So I missed it during its first run, and then I kind of missed it in reruns as well. So when it was finally released on the DVD, the TV series, it was great to dive into that. The TV movie I had seen before, the first TV movie, the Night Stalker, and I did it came from the tube on that, and it's a terrific movie. And you're right, Jonathan. There's a whole generation, really 2 generations, that's missing out, or up till this point really has been missing out on some top-notch, lighthearted, I would say, horror fare. It's certainly nothing that is going to, I think, scare anyone seasoned or anyone looking for hardcore horror, but it's very character driven. I think, which is what makes Kolchak such a great character and show, and the show itself, and the movies fantastic. Is they're character driven, and they're just as much about him as we see everything through his eyes as they are for whatever monster of the week came up, and they had some good ones too.
Yeah, it's it's interesting because we talk about all the great shows and movies and games. There's so much of it. It's hard to dive back. There used to be all those gaps. So it's like, well, what am I going to watch? And that's where you'd watch, some of your favorite movies over and over again, or you dive into the back catalog. Now you really have to make a concentrated effort to. But I would really, recommend. I know Kino, has been releasing a few others. They have The Outer Limits season 1 and 2. I don't know if they released. I think it was it might have just been Universal. But there's Night Gallery got released to Blu-ray recently. Tales from the Dark Side is still on DVD. So there's all these great shows. So if you're like, hey, I'm looking for something like The Twilight Zone, or I'm looking for something like The Outer Limits, or I'm just looking for older TV to catch up on. And then for people who, especially for people in creative fields, they're looking to see what inspired, the, classics that you love, or the modern classics that you love, I should say. It's good to kind of go back and watch these. So yeah, so I've enjoyed kind of watching the movie with a fresh set of eyes, and I'll be diving into the TV show over the next month.
Nice.
Yeah, the TV show is terrific. There, Robert Zemeckis actually wrote. Robert Zemeckis, I'm not sure if he co-wrote it with Bob Gale or not, but wrote an episode. David Chase from The Sopranos worked on it. Robert Zemeckis. It's some really great talent on it. What they didn't have for the TV show necessarily was the budget. Right? I forget how many episodes there are in the one season.
I think they did I think it was 22 or 20. Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere around there, 2022. And, the ratings for the show weren't exactly inspiring them to throw more money at it. So what you suffer for, I think maybe in the effects, even for the time, you certainly make up for in the charm, and I don't mean that in the condescending way, but a genuinely charming monster of the week show is what it amounts to. I know Darren, and that's why Darren McGavin was not happy, is that it turned into that. But if you're a viewer, you are still getting a lots of the character, but you're also getting a different monster every week, which, that's pretty hard to beat.
Yeah, for sure.
We know what happens when you try to throw mythology in with Monster of the Week as well, and it can get kind of mucky.
I still think the biggest missed opportunity of that whole thing was that there was never a Kolchak and Kojak crossover. I mean,
I like it.
That's what my wife said. That's what
Darren
Christy
McGavin
said.
and Telly Savalas on one screen. Like, how is that not a home run?
The screen explodes with excitement. Savalas, McGavin.
Yeah, just like coming at the screen in
together
big
again for the first time. Yeah.
That's funny.
And they've been having reruns, or the TV series is on the Me TV lineup. So if you have Me TV, it's in that rotation.
Okay, well, we've been talking about a lot of TV, and we've been talking about games, and we haven't really talked about a lot of movies. And while we do have, we mentioned Texas Chainsaw Massacre is coming up. We'll have a episode dedicated to that. And there's some other good releases coming up. And I did want Bryan to talk about All the Moons, which I know you saw recently.
Yeah, so actually I saw it, for me, it was something I saw back during Fantasia of last year, but I want to give it a shout out because it's coming out, if you're listening to this on Friday, then this coming Thursday on the 10th of February, it's coming out on Shudder. And I want to get eyes on this because I think it's really, really good. And, could potentially be another one of those under the radar movies that, you need to kind of seek out. But it is from a Spanish director, Igor Legarreta, and it is about this orphan girl during 19th century Spain during the Carlist Wars, which was like different factions were fighting over various claims on the country's throne, because at that point it was still a monarchy. And this orphan winds up getting like mortally wounded in a mortar attack that like wipes out the entire orphanage. So, starting out on a really happy note. But like she's kind of, she's lying in the rubble and a strange woman comes through and offers to, quote unquote, cure her. And that cure comes in the form of vampirism. But, vampirism in this is kind of more, this gave me shades of Guillermo del Toro. Vampires aren't these, evil monsters. They are monsters of a sort. They need to drink blood, and they have the various some would call them afflictions, some would call them superpowers that come with being a vampire. But it really explores just the loneliness of immortality and of kind of being that other. And it's also reminds me of Guillermo del Toro because it creates this atmosphere of a fairy tale, but I think it diverges because it takes out, except for kind of the vampiric elements, it takes out a lot of the kind of over the top fantasy elements that you might see in a del Toro movie. This is much more subdued. It's kind of like in this limbo between reality and fiction, and they treat vampirism a little bit more as a condition than as something that, like, at its core, it's still something that's supernatural, but it doesn't, like, it's not this big flashy thing. And it was a really good movie. It's very subtle. It's very understated. The lead actress, the character's name is Amaya. She's played by a young girl named Haize Heise Carneros, and I think what really comes through and what she really brings to the table is acting so far beyond her years that she conveys this sense of age and just like world weariness that is really, really impressive, considering that she can only be about, I would say, maybe 12 or 13 years old. So yeah, if like it's a bit of a slower paced movie, but it is visually very beautiful. All the performances are really, really good in it. And I really like the way it resolves. They do actually a few different things with the vampire mythos that I'm really interested in. I don't want to give any of them away, but a lot of the vampire staples are there, but they especially do a really interesting thing with the need to be to avoid daylight. They do something with that in the case of this little girl that just adds a really interesting twist onto it. And I'd be interested to hear, if people do see it, what they think about the direction they took that. But yeah, it was a very good movie. It was on my favorites list of last year. And just the fact that it's coming up on Shudder, I just want to kind of give it a shout out and make sure people give it a look.
Yeah, there are some incredible movies on Shudder, and they just continue to acquire and just build up their catalog. And so, occasionally you'll see, online, whether it's, a seasoned horror fan or someone who doesn't watch horror a lot, but you'll see it come up occasionally. People are like, hey, there's no good horror movies this year. In a lot of cases, it might just be it's on a different service or it's on a different platform. And Shudder has so many great films. There's a lot I need to catch up on, but this is definitely up my alley. So and again, another Bryan pick. You're on a roll, so I'll keep watching what you suggest until then it's a bad one, and then then I won't watch it.
Then it just immediately turns into what have you done for me lately?
Yes,
which is fair.
But yeah, this sounds great. And Scott, I know we wanted to take a minute to talk about a novella you recently read that you really liked.
I did. Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke by Eric LaRocca is a novella that plays as a horrible nightmare of manipulation, sadomasochism, desperation. It's the story that occurs in 2006 in a queer chat room, innocently enough, where one person in the chat room is selling an apple peeler that belongs to their grandmother, and the other wishes to buy it. This starts a friendship, which starts an online chat room relationship between the two. And it's only around 100 pages long, but oh boy, does it pack a wallop of a punch. And it actually has a punchline to it. The end of the story, I think, has a punchline to it. There are some moments in here that are literally quite stomach churning. But, sold with enough, I guess, poetry, you might say, that it makes it palatable. He's a great writer, and it's a very engaging read, even though it's about, in the end, something quite disgusting. Well worth your time. I know he's already on to his next collection. He has a collection of short stories, I think, was just published, and he's already has more coming out as well. He's another one of those really prolific new wave of writers, and it's good stuff. Check it out.
So, like, with the punchline at the end, is it kind of like shades of like a novella version of like an EC comic tale or something like that? Or,
well, I don't want to say that. It's just he's a really good writer, and that everything ties together. That way, I'll just say that because I won't give anything away.
It rewards paying attention, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's a really well told story. I think the most startling aspect of it, an effective aspect of it is the manipulation and how you see, even in a 2006 chat room of instant messenger as it's used in here, the manipulation and the coercion and the brainwashing that can occur between two individuals who are each looking for something different, and it manages to fit that into a narrative that is just correspondence between two women. And it's good stuff. It's really good stuff. It's dark, but it's darkly funny. That's me. Take that with a pound of salt. But yeah, things have gotten worse since we last spoke by Eric LaRocca. That's my February pick to click.
Nice.
It's been out for like a year and a half. I don't know, but that's my February 2001 pick to click.
Nice.
It's also interesting to consider like how ancient, like if it's 2006, like it's 15 years ago, which is so weird to think that 2006 is 15 years ago, but like not like that's already a long time ago. But when you're talking in terms of like internet media, like a chat room is like ancient at this point, with all the different ways you have of connecting with people. It's just weird to think of like how quaint the idea of a chat room is.
Oh yeah. So antiquated.
Yeah. It's like you mentioned, Eric has a collection called The Strange Thing We Become and Other Dark Tales, which also has been getting really good reviews. And he definitely seems to be one of the more buzzed about new horror authors out there. So I'm curious to see what he does next, and then also to see if we get any adaptations from his work, because it feels like he could be another big new voice in horror fiction.
This one would, I would say, someone who is comfortable doing, without giving anything away, with doing body horror, I think would be a good fit for this project.
Oh,
I'm not sure what kind of an audience it would have. Fans of the book, to be sure. It's very adaptable. It's a very, even though it's just conversations between these two women, it's very cinematic. You can see it playing out in your head.
Nice.
Even if you don't want to.
Well, thank you very much, Scott, for your pick. So now we have we have TV picks, we have video game picks, we have novella picks, and so with that, this episode of Corpse Club will come to an end. We have a couple follow-ups though, so we hopefully will get back to you and let you know how some of these shows we've been watching or recommended are, and because I do want to catch up on Yellowjackets myself, and we should have some progress on Dead by Daylight. I can promise you we probably won't get that far in a week, but Brian, if you push us, we will play.
The ongoing pointless saga of Dead by Daylight continues.
Yeah.
He's still got some work to do on me, I think.
Yeah, but honestly, because you got PSN,
I've
you're
already
closer.
given up on Scott.
Yeah, that'll be true. We need to do it. But we want to take a minute. We want to thank Brian, our engineer, for helping us out each and every episode so that we can get, my almost falls cut out. And as always, we want to thank our listeners, including those of you who have signed up for a Corpse Club membership. Thank you very much. You can visit corpseclub.com to check out our latest episode and our backlog of episodes. You can sign up to become a member. If you want to hear us talk about Dead by Daylight, not playing it, but the what do you call it? The build up to playing it, the excitement over maybe playing it. We can dedicate an episode to it. That's what happens depending on what membership tier you sign up for. You want to hear us talk about Kolchak and Kolchak. We can do that. And so head to corpseclub.com. And don't forget to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Every rating and review helps. You can also find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, and all of your favorite podcast providers. If you want to get in touch, you can reach out anytime. We're at contact@corpseclub.com. On Twitter, we're at Daily Dead News. We're at Corpse Club. And on Instagram and Facebook, we're under Corpse Club as well. Thanks again for listening. And until next time, stay scary.